Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Allen? Here. LaFour?
Here.
Ostrovich?
Here.
Reindell?
Here.
Ricks?
Here.
Schultz?
Here.
Warren?
Here. Good to see everybody here tonight. We need the approval of the minutes for the quarterly roundtable meeting that was held on October 21st. Is there a motion?
Motion. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion, corrections? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We also have the regular city council minutes of the same date. Is there a motion?
Motion. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on these minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on any non-agenda items. If you'd like to speak to council, we ask that you state your name and address for the record to the clerk, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Geraldine Morris, and I'm a member of Protective Parents Michigan. I would like to thank the City of Richmond for acknowledging Family Court Awareness Month and supporting child safety in family court and custody decisions. 1 in 3 Michigan families are directly impacted by domestic violence, but domestic violence affects each one of us and our communities. The health and safety of children and families is directly linked to the well-being and functioning of the community. Without proper training for family courts on domestic violence, children continue to be exposed to abuse, and families need more social support, putting extra strain on local services like shelters, counseling, and child protective services. We all need to be aware of what happens in family court to keep children safe, because when women leave their abusive situations, abuse often escalates and follows them and their children into the family court system. Post-separation abuse in family court puts the children in harm's way because abusive parents are more likely to seek sole custody and are successful 70% of the time. I want to share some statistics so you can see why family court reform is needed. 60% of perpetrators who abuse their spouse will abuse their child. Adverse childhood experiences such as domestic abuse negatively impact a child's development, their relationships, and their mental and physical health. Most child abuse is perpetrated in the family by a parent. Children are 3 times as likely to be shot at home than in a mass school shooting, and 1 child dies every 6 days amid custody fights and family court cases. Since 2008, 39 Michigan children have been murdered during divorce or custody battles. Many of these deaths could have been prevented if the courts considered evidence of past abuse and implemented safe parenting time plans. This is why we are working to bring Caden's Law to Michigan. Caden's Law is focused on prioritizing child protection over parents' rights. Caden's Law was named for Caden Mancuso, a 7-year-old girl murdered by her father during court-ordered unsupervised parenting time after the court ignored the father's history of abuse. Caden's Law would provide funding to our state to educate judges on all types of abuse, including coercive control and emotional and psychological abuse that leave invisible scars. Judges would need to consider past history of abuse when making custody decisions. Children would not be removed from a protective parent's home and be forced to live with an abusive parent. Our children's lives are literally dependent on the courts becoming educated on these issues. Thank you for acknowledging Family Court Awareness Month in the City of Richmond. We are hoping these community connections help improve awareness of domestic violence and help us move forward with child-focused legislation regarding custody and judicial training on domestic abuse.
Thank you very much. Adoption of agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
City Council, any changes? Motion to accept the agenda as presented be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Support.
Motion been made and supported. There is no discussion on the, the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We now move on to items for consideration. We only have two this evening. The first one is consideration of special event request over the road banner, Richmond Community Theater. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider a request from the Richmond Community Theater to have a banner across Main Street that advertises the theater season and reminds people that Richmond does have a community theater. Currently, they had originally requested for the first couple of weeks in November, but Little League had already been approved for the two banner locations. So when we take those banners down, we'll hang the Home for the Holiday banner down by the ball equipment and the community theater banner up by the fire hall, which is really closest to the intersection where Churchill, where you turn to go down to the theater. So I did go over that with the community theater president, and she was fine with that. And then in future years, we'll work to kind of coordinate the placement of the banners and timing.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I make a motion to approve the special event application from the Richmond Community Theater for an across the road banner from November 18th through December 2nd.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion on this item? Seems as though you worked it out. It's where we've talked about having more polls, maybe on division. If people are starting to do more and more like this, we may have to take another look at that in the future. Any other discussion? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 2 is consideration of adopting Resolution 2024-20, Public Act 152. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider adopting Resolution 2024-20, a resolution electing to comply with the provisions of Public Act 152 of 2011. Each year, at the beginning of our coverage year for healthcare, the city must determine how it is going to comply with Public Act 152. The three options are the hard cap, splitting the cost 80-20, or opting out and setting a split through our union contracts, which is what we've done since the inception of this law.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-20, electing to comply with the provisions of Public Act 152 of 2011 by exercising the city's right to exempt itself from the requirements of the act for the next succeeding healthcare plan year.
Support.
What's been made and supported. Is there any discussion on this? We had a lot of discussion on this when we first considered this. This is just a carry on. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on. Miscellaneous matters from the city manager, sir.
Just a reminder, I will be off on Friday.
Very good. Council comments. Michael?
No, thank you.
Dennis?
Nothing.
Jim?
Yes, Mayor. For the public, again, when a school bus stops and the big stop sign's out there, it's not a suggestion. It's the law. You know, that 2 minutes that you're going to have to wait does not let you go flying by there and perhaps killing a child.
You're seeing more and more of that down your
Oh,
way.
my God, it's
On Main
terrible.
Street? Is
Yes.
it mostly on Main Street?
Yep.
Yeah, somebody's gonna be awfully sorry someday.
That 2 minutes that they thought they made up, they'll have a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Emily?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
John?
Nothing today.
Good.
Okay, let's look at the calendar here. Today being November 4th, of course, we have the polls open at 7 a.m. tomorrow till 8 p.m. People from the south of 32 will vote right here at City Hall, and people who live north of 32 will be voting over at our community center on Festival Drive in BB Park. We will be closed on the 11th, honoring Veterans Day. And we'll open back up again on the 12th Tuesday, and Cable Commission will be meeting at 6:30 right here at City Hall. On the 14th, the Planning Commission will be meeting at 7 p.m. And 2 weeks from tonight, the City Council will be seated again at 7 o'clock right here at City Hall. We do have a couple of announcements here. Senior fitness classes. It's 4 weeks of classes. A new session began October 24th. Will run through 11/14. It's a fitness, cardio, drumming is another one that they'll be doing. Questions on that, 727-3064 for our Parks and Rec. Pickleball lessons at the Odd on Main Street. They are starting on November 12th through December 10th. If you're interested in pickleball, this is a good beginner class. It's on Tuesday mornings. Pre-registration is required, and you can register now at 586-430-4950. And if you have any questions, again, Parks and Rec at 727-3064. The Lois Waitman Memorial Library will be doing the mitten tree collection again this year. It'll start it has started on November 1st, and they will collect through December 9th. And that's new gloves, mittens, scarves, and hats for both children and adults. That's at our library. If you have any questions, 727-2665. And also at the library, the 29th annual Christmas cookie sale. Homemade Christmas cookies are donated by members of the Richmond community. That sale will be held on December 13th from 12 to 5. Any questions, or if you'd like to donate, bakers are needed. And you can call the library at 727-2665. Is there anything else we need to add to the calendar this evening? If not, is there any other business of the City Council this evening? Again, we'll wish Emily a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you're lucky it was a short meeting.
Very grateful. Thank
And good
you.
luck to our clerk tomorrow
Thank you,
on the voting. John, I think, told me today we're about 53% of our registered voters have already voted.
Absolutely. The early voting was a huge hit. The first Saturday and the last Sunday were our largest days, but everybody seemed thrilled with the opportunity to come take advantage of early voting.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, if there's nothing else, Michael?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass.